Hi guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today we're doing another meal prep video, which I'm super excited for. These meals are going to be easy to make, delicious, high protein, vegetarian meals with options to sub out if you're not vegetarian. We made 2 different breakfast options, a pasta salad for lunch and a rice bowl for dinner. So let me show you how I did it. So this is everything you're gonna need to make my overnight chocolate chia and oat pudding. I like to use these Prana overnight chia and oat chocolate packet mixes. It just makes it a lot easier, but you can definitely use chia and oats by themselves. I like to add a little bit of plant-based protein. We're doing half a scoop in each to up the protein in this, a little extra cocoa powder, and give that a good mix. Then we're gonna add our milk. I'm using soy milk here instead of almond milk because it has a lot more protein. We're doing half a cup in each of these, and then we're also gonna do a little bit of vanilla extract in both of these for a little bit of sweetness and flavor, but you can also use maple syrup or honey if you want to do that too. We're going to give this a really good mix, and then you're basically done with the first thing. This is so easy to make, so delicious, and it's going to run you up to 19 grams of protein per serving. So now we're gonna make our tofu scramble, which is one of my favorite breakfasts, and I usually like to have it served up on toast. You're gonna need tofu. I like to use extra firm, but you can also use medium firm if you like. We're using soy milk again, and then a bunch of spices, which we'll go into detail later. One of the most important being nutritional yeast for that cheesy flavor. Then we're gonna cut up our tofu. I'm gonna be making 2 portions for this, so I'm gonna use half a block of the tofu, and this has 14 grams a serving just in the tofu itself. So with extra firm tofu, you don't really have to press it, but I like to press it lightly with the tablecloth just to get some extra moisture out. Once you're done pressing it, you're gonna crumble it into a bowl. You can also cut it if you like. I just feel like crumbling makes it into those egg-like pieces. And now we're gonna make our marinade. We're using nutritional yeast. This also has a little bit of protein in it, but if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend. I'm gonna eyeball some garlic powder for flavor, onion powder, and black salt. This is what's really gonna give it that eggy flavor. And I also add a little bit more of it when I'm cooking, paprika, salt, and pepper. Give this a really good stir, and then we're gonna mix it in with half a cup of soy milk to rehydrate the tofu. We're gonna add a little bit of mustard in as well, and then give this a good stir. Honestly, this smells so weirdly good. I love it. Now we're gonna pour our marinade mixture over top of the tofu. I kind of think I made a little bit too much, but it's just gonna be extra flavorful. I like to store these in Ziploc bags, not the most aesthetic looking, but it's super handy because you can have it in your fridge ready to go for multiple recipes for breakfast, or you can freeze it. The scramble itself is gonna come to 22 grams of protein per serving, but if you have it with toast, it'll come up to 26 grams total. Next, we're gonna make a Greek pasta salad for lunches, and I'm super excited to try this recipe. So here's what you're gonna need. We got 2 cans of chickpeas because this is gonna be our main source of plant-based protein in this recipe, some pasta, red onions, sun-dried tomatoes, feta cheese, bell peppers, some lemon juice, some Italian seasoning, and spinach. I'm just putting my pot of water on the stove to boil. I couldn't find a lid for it, so we're using one that's slightly too big. And then we're gonna get to chopping our veggies. My onion was honestly going bad and it was so gross, but I just cut off the bad part and we were good to go. If you wanna know how to dice a onion properly, you're gonna go make vertical lines down it like this. Then you're gonna make a big line in the middle the other way, if that makes sense. And then you're gonna chop it, and it's gonna make these perfect diced little squares. Just a tip I recently learned. Then we're gonna put this in a bath of cold water or ice water. This is gonna get rid of that spicy bite and make them more tolerable in the pasta. I'm also gonna cut up an orange pepper and a yellow bell pepper. I'm just doing strips, and then I'm gonna cut those strips into cubes to make them more bite-sized for the pasta. If you don't like bell peppers, you could also use cucumbers or tomatoes, but that's just what I'm going with. We're putting in our pasta. I'm doing about 4 cups of pasta, and it made a lot, so you could do a little bit less if you wanted, and of course salting the water. Then I'm gonna cut up my feta cheese. I know you're supposed to crumble it, but I just find this easier. You can cut up as much as you want, and then I'm just gonna put it back in the container so it's easier to use later on. The main star of this dish is gonna be the sun-dried tomatoes. They give so much flavor, so I'm just chopping those up like I did the feta and setting those aside. Then we're gonna open up our can of chickpeas. You're gonna drain these, rinse them, and then put them in a bowl for later. You're just prepping all the ingredients. This recipe is super easy to make. When my pasta is done, you're not gonna wait for it to cool. I'm gonna coat it with some olive oil just to make sure it doesn't stick and give that a nice stir. And then we're gonna go ahead and make our dressing. So it's just some shaved garlic, lemon juice for that acidity. We're gonna add some of that oil from the sun-dried tomatoes, and then we're also gonna add some salt and pepper and Italian seasoning. You're gonna give this a good mix or stir, and then you're gonna put this into your pasta and just mix it until it's well combined. Now we're gonna add all of the stuff that we prepped. So we've got the red onions, the bell peppers, the chickpeas. I didn't end up using the full 4 cups of them, the sun-dried tomatoes, and the feta cheese. And then I forgot that I wanted to add spinach as well for some greenness. So I just gave that a quick chop, and then I put that in the pasta as well. And then make sure you give this a really good stir, and you can taste it to make sure that all the flavors are right. Looks so good. So let's do a taste test. And just like that, we're done with our lunch item. This looks so delicious, and this is gonna bring you up to 30 grams of protein per serving. This looks so good, and I'm so excited to have this ready to eat for lunch. All right, so we are already on to our last meal, which is going to be dinner, and it is going to be Asian inspired rice bowls. I'm gonna show you everything that's gonna go into them. So our source of protein for the rice bowls is gonna be tempeh. We have broccoli, some ginger and soy sauce, white rice, edamame, and an avocado. We're gonna start by prepping our broccoli, just cutting that into smaller pieces, ripping it apart, do what you gotta do. Now for our marinade, we're gonna throw in some soy sauce and some ginger and just a little bit of sesame oil. This is gonna give it such a good flavor. You definitely don't wanna miss this. Some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, and a little bit of brown sugar to make the glaze for a little bit of sweetness. Then you're gonna give this a good mix, and we're gonna put our tempeh in there. I'm just separating it. It was in slices, and I'm gonna cut it in half so it's a little bit easier to eat. And you're gonna put this in the marinade for as long as possible so it can soak up all of those delicious flavors. So if you're not vegetarian, you can easily substitute this with beef or chicken. My fiance is not vegetarian like me, so I'm just cutting up some chicken into bite-sized pieces like I did, and we're gonna add this into the exact same marinade. I just set some aside, and you're also gonna add a little bit of cornstarch just to thicken this up when it makes a sauce. I'm gonna steam my broccoli. This is like the easiest way to cook it, and this thing is so handy. And I'm also gonna put about 2 cups of rice and 3.5 cups of water. This is gonna be good for 4 portions. And then I'm just gonna get both of those on the stove. I also put a little bit more of that sesame oil in my rice for some additional flavor. Once the broccoli was done, because it doesn't take that long to cook, I just added a little bit of butter and some salt and gave that a quick stir. Then for the tempeh, I'm gonna cook this in the oven, but you could also air fry it or pan fry it. I'm just gonna put it on some parchment paper and then put that extra liquid on there so it soaks it all up, and put that in the oven for about 15 minutes per side, maybe a little bit less. Then for the chicken, I'm actually gonna do this on the stovetop because I want the sauce to really thicken up. So I'm putting a little bit of sesame oil, chicken on there, and then I'm just going to stir it and cook it, and it's gonna slowly thicken up. Halfway through the tempeh being done, I'm going to flip it so it gets extra crispy, and you can see it soaked up all that liquid, and it just is starting to get super flavorful. Then I'm gonna put it back in the oven so it gets even crispier. For the edamame, it's super easy. Just cover it with water in a microwave safe bowl with some paper towel for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're going to drain it and season it with salt and pepper. Then I'm just going to cut my avocado. Kyle doesn't like avocado, so this is gonna be fully for me. I'm going to slice this up into squares, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of lemon juice on it so that it doesn't go bad when we put it in our meal prep containers. Everything is ready, so we're going to start assembling our rice bowls. So to assemble this, I'm just gonna start with a base of rice in every single container. Then we're gonna do the broccoli. You could easily switch this out for your favorite veg as well. Then I'm gonna put the chicken in 2 of the containers, and I'm gonna put our crispy tempeh on the other 2 containers. It got a little dark, but I think it will be just perfect. Then I'm gonna top it with the edamame beans. This is gonna give it some extra protein. I only did a 1/4 cup in each, but honestly you could do 1/2 cup if you wanted even more. Then I'm gonna put the avocado on top and it's almost ready to go. We're just topping it off with some sesame seeds, pretty much just for look, and our last meal is done. These are super filling and they're gonna bring you up to 27.5 grams of protein per serving. When I eat this, I feel like I'm going to eat it with a little bit of garlic sauce or extra teriyaki sauce that I have in my fridge, but it looks so good. Alright guys, so this is everything we made for today's meal prep. Nice and easy, high protein, vegetarian meals. I am so happy with how this turned out. This was definitely easier than last time, just sticking to a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. So we have 2 different options for breakfast, our chia oat pudding and our tofu scramble. We have the pasta salad for lunch and we have the rice bowls for dinner. Having a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner every single day is gonna run you to around 85 grams of protein per day. I'm gonna try to have that every single day, and then if I incorporate a protein shake, that will bring me to over 100 grams of protein a day, which is my goal. A lot of these recipes, you can customize stuff, you can change out the protein, you can add more protein if you'd like. And for the breakfasts, you can add even more protein, like I'm gonna have these with bread, or I can make it with hash browns. I can add fruit and more stuff to the chia pudding. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit the like button on this video so I know that you like this type of content and I can make more of it. And let me know in the comments if you guys made any of these meals and if you liked them. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.